Mini Soccer Day 1, Cycle 1. This is our field work outside. As always, we're starting the day off with some foot ankle prep. First exercise is a towel toe curl. Ideally, you'll have a towel laid down on the ground and you can use your toes to scrunch that towel up. If you don't have a towel or you're out on turf, it won't work on turf, then you can just hit some normal toe curls like we have done in the past, where you're scrunching your toes, squeezing them all the way in, making your foot really short. After you get done with that, we're gonna hit an ankle alphabet similar to our ankle circles, but now we're just drawing the ABCs with our foot. Once you get through a whole alphabet on one foot, you'll hit the other foot, and then once you get through both sides, we'll get into our rudiment hops. Rudiment hops, remember, our whole foot is contacting the ground at the same time, hands on hips. Very short, choppy jumps, not getting a ton of height. We're just trying to get as many hops as we possibly can within our set yardage there. Once you get through that, we're just going to be getting into a normal dynamic warm-up. We should know all of the exercises on that list: reverse lunge, lateral lunge, scoop walks, over the hurdle, under the hurdle, so on and so forth. At the very end of that dynamic warm-up, we do have some A skips and B skips, just as a reminder on what those look like. Our A skips, knee is up high, heel is right underneath the knee, and we're driving forcefully down underneath our hips. Foot is striking in the same place that it came from. A skips right here. Very violent, very fast, into the ground with these. With our B skips, the difference now is that we are hitting a cycle, a little step over, whereas our A skip, we were just straight up, straight down. B skips, same knee drive, now we're just stepping over and cycling through. We're not kicking our leg out, our knee doesn't ever fully extend, but we are a little bit more dynamic with this movement. So B skips, right here, drive, cycle, drive, cycle. Again, drive, cycle, drive, cycle. That is our B skips there. Once we get through that, we are going to be getting into some deep tier plyos. We know this one, we love this one, our deep squat oscillating jump, staying nice and low. Heels are dropped towards our hips are dropped towards our heels, and we're staying in this low stance the entire time. After that one, we've got a split stance slalom. Slalom just means lateral side to side. Knee stays low towards the ground. Lateral jumps right here. Thinking about body control, thinking about that keeping that knee low towards the ground the whole time. Then once we get through that one, we've got a split stance oscillatory, still in a split stance position here. Now we're jumping all the way up, back knee hits the ground. These are not max effort jumps. I care more about the yield into that hip, into that knee, and that back knee going all the way down onto the ground. Once we get through that, we're going to be getting into some intensive plyos, a little bit more intent, a little bit more drive behind these. We're gonna start off with a pogo jump. This is going to be stationary, in place, hands on hips. This is for max height on these pogos, so I do want us spending a little bit more time on the ground and really trying to get up in the air as high as you can, pulling your toes. Not a ton of knee bend, still everything with the ankle, with the Achilles, but we are trying to get up off the ground on that. Once you get through that, we're going to be going in alternating pogo, split stance here. Again, same intent, same drive, trying to get high. Now we're just switching which foot is in front. Alternating pogo right here. Then the last plyo that we will do today is a mini hurdle cycle. We've done something similar to these before. This is not a max effort, but it is a little bit more intensive. We are single leg, trying to get up and over the hurdles with a lot of knee drive, being quick off the ground. So right here, knee drive, knee drive, knee drive, all the way through. We'll hit that both sides, obviously. And then once you get through your plyos, we are going to be hitting some builds. With our build-ups, what I want you to think about is each 3 steps is faster than the last 3 steps. So by the time you hit your yardage, you should be at your top speed, but you have that entire yardage to build up to it. So for example, week 1, you are 60 yards. Every 3 steps within those 60 yards is faster. At the very last 10 yards is when you're at your top speed. And that is cycle 1, day 1. All right, this is Jenny Soccer Summer 2025, cycle 1, day 1 of our indoor work. We have just come in from our field work, and now this is day 1 of our weight room stuff. We're kicking things off with a seated box jump here. Seated box jump, everything is concentric. I only care about the movement going up. So what that means is I don't want any sort of rock back here. We're starting in our loaded position, and then our only movement is up and onto our box. Seated box jump right there. With that, we're going to pair some hip mobility with a wall-supported tall kneeling hip car. That's going to be over here with a wall, both knees down on the ground. Hands are braced up against the wall, and then we're thinking about rotating at our hip. So hands are braced here, lifting up, knee drives over, heel stays high the whole time, and rotate through. And then you'll just reverse it on the way back. Heel gets nice and high on the same level as that knee, and we're rotating all the way back around. And that is our tall kneeling hip car. Once we get through those two, we're gonna move into more of our main movement with a heavy dumbbell goblet squat. So you're grabbing your dumbbell. I want you to challenge yourself in terms of weight here. Sitting all the way down in our squat as far as you can. Obviously, if you have this range of motion, please go there. If you don't, challenge yourself with as much depth as you can. Heavy goblet squat right there. We are going to pair that with a quadruped hip abduction. So you will need some sort of barrier to work over. It doesn't matter if it's a hurdle or your phone, a water bottle, doesn't matter there. You're setting that up to the side of you. We're in a quadruped position on all fours. One leg is straight out, and then we're just lifting up and over that barrier, keeping that leg straight, all that work done at the glute. I want you to try to keep your hips square to the ground there, not opening up to get that leg up and over. Really challenge that glute med. Paired with that also, we are going to hit our neck bridge iso holds. I know we all love these, they're our favorite. In case you forget what those look like, you'll set up your bench. This is going to challenge some neck strength here. Feet are in a glute bridge position. The back of your head is on your bench. And from here, you're just bridging your hips up. Hips stay nice and high, and you're holding this position. That is our neck bridge iso hold. I know we all love those. And then our last block for today is going to be a dumbbell single arm overhead press. One dumbbell. You're staying nice and tall, keeping your torso intact towards the ground. I don't want to see any rib flare here where we're arching our back. I want us to stay nice and compressed, and then we're just taking that dumbbell up overhead, bicep by the ear at the top. Paired with that, we will hit an inverted row. You could do this with TRX straps or with a barbell, does not matter. Set up like this, and then we're just rowing, bringing the chest in towards our hands. To make this more challenging, drop your feet so you're flatter towards the ground. To make it easier, bring your feet back so you're higher up off the ground. That is our inverted row there. And then last exercise in this day is a heavy farmer's carry. 2 dumbbells, 1 in each hand, and you're just walking your yardage with this. Dumbbells are out here, we're staying nice and tall. Normal steps, eyes are up the whole time. And that is cycle 1, day. Right, this is Jenny Soccer Summer 25, cycle 1, day 2. Remember, days 2 and 4 are just weight room work. There is no field work. These are just sort of low volume, get your body moving, get yourself feeling good type of days. We're gonna start with a little warm-up circuit. On the floor, rolling V's, you're tucking your knees back, rolling up into a V sit, a straddle sit, getting a stretch in the hamstrings, rolling V's right there. Once you get done with those, we're going to hit a PVC good morning to squat. If you don't have a PVC or a dowel, a band will work fine. Just holding that band out here. We're going to initiate this movement with a hinge at the hips, pushing your butt back, core stays nice and tight. Hinge all the way until you feel a good stretch in your hamstrings, and then we're sitting down into a squat, and then we'll just reverse that motion on the way back up, getting into your hinge again, and then standing up. So again, hinge, push the butt back, squat, unsquat, unhinge, PVC good morning to squat. Then still with that PVC pipe or band, we're gonna hit some around the worlds, just opening up the chest, opening up the shoulders, around the worlds right here. You will hit a rotation on both sides for those. Once you're through with that warm-up movement circuit, we're gonna get into some extensive plyos, starting with a short ground contact time pogo. With these, I don't care how high you get, I care about how fast you are off the ground. So hands on hips, and then as quick as you can, just being really bouncy, attacking the ground, spending as little time as possible in contact with the floor. Then we will hit some split stance pogos, just what it sounds like, one foot in front of the other. We have a very narrow stance here. I don't want us getting super wide, very narrow stance. And then we're just same idea, really quick, really bouncy off the ground there. Once we're warmed up, we're gonna get into our lift, starting with a med ball overhead slam. Light med ball, 10 pounds. If you got 8-pounders, great. You're getting up tall on your toes, med ball all the way up over your head, and then hitting a triple flexion as quick as you can, slamming down into the ground. I want a lot of force, a lot of power in those slams. Paired with that, we're gonna hit a little bit of T-spine mobility with a dumbbell rotation to reach. So you're gonna get a light dumbbell, 5 or 10 pounds. You're laying on the ground. Knees are tucked up towards your chest. To start this movement, dumbbell is up over your shoulder. We're dropping the elbow down towards the ground, and then rotating, reaching that shoulder all the way up towards the ceiling. We're rotating, elbow touches the ground, and reaching up towards the ceiling there. That is our dumbbell rotation to reach. Once you get through that, we're gonna hit some more mobility work with a weighted Cossack squat. You're going to grab a plate or a 25 to 35 pound dumbbell. Big wide stance, toes are turned out. You're holding that weight low, sitting your hips down and shifting side to side, staying on the same level the whole time. Remember, with the Cossack, I don't want us standing up and then sitting back down. I want us gliding across. As you switch sides, you're thinking about pushing that knee over your toes, really challenging that mobility. And then our last exercise for the day is going to be some hamstring iso holds. With each set, there are going to be 3 positions. The easiest one will go first, with your feet tucked all the way up close to your butt. We'll just be right here, bridging up, driving through the heels. Your toes should be off the ground. And we're holding for the prescribed time here. Our second position, we're just gonna take those feet a little bit further out and then hit the same thing, pushing through the heels, driving the hips up nice and high, squeezing the glutes and hamstrings. Then our third position is the hardest. Feet are almost all the way out, legs are almost straight, and we're bridging up as high as we can, driving through the heels, squeezing the glutes, squeeze the hamstrings. And that is day 2 of. All right, this is Jenny's Soccer Cycle 1, day 3. Remember, we only have 2 days of field work. They are split up in between 4 days of lifting. So this is only our 2nd day outside, but it is our 3rd day of the program, if that makes sense. Starting today off, we are going to be hitting our towel toe curls just like we did on day 1. Once we get through that, we're going to be hitting a core fist squat. Core fist squat, we're rising up onto our toes, sitting all the way down, heels stay off the ground the whole time, and then all the way back up again. Heels are off the ground the entire time through this. That is our core fist squat. Once you get through that, we're going to be hitting some lateral rudiment hops. Same idea as with our linear rudiment hops. Whole foot is hitting at the same time. Very short, choppy jumps, moving laterally, and then you hit the same thing coming back the other way. After that, you're getting into a dynamic warm-up. Most of that is the same until we get into our lateral work. Lateral skips, crossing the wrists up top. We know what that looks like there. Then we will be hitting a lateral A skip. For our lateral A's, if you need to stay in one place and get a rhythm going first, go ahead and do that. And then you are pushing off of your trail leg to get some movement going. So our A skip right here, and then we're pushing off of that trail leg to get going laterally. After you get done with that, we are going to be hitting some half kneeling starts. These are linear starts. So we're down on the ground here, one knee up, one knee down. You're leaning forward over that front leg, being primed, being ready to go. Here, ripping and driving out. We do have a distance set on that, but I do care more about the first 3-4 steps in that drive. Really ripping, being as explosive as possible in those first couple of steps. Then once you get done with that, we are going to be hitting an A run into a sprint bleed. For our A run, remember our knee is up, our heel is tucked by our butt, and then we're very fast cycle with our legs. We're going to run for a set amount of yardage and then slowly bleed that into just a normal sprint. So our A run, we're covering yardage, and then slowly we're getting out into our sprint there. Once you get done with your dynamic warm-up, we are going to be hitting our deep tier extensive plyos and then some intensive plyos. For the deep tier plyos, the first one is a bounce to split. So we're just here bouncing in place. Every 3 or 4, you're just hitting a little split lunge, just right here, and then right back into your bounce. Once you get done with that, we will do a deep squat jump to yield, starting in our deep squat here, all the way up, back into that yield, all the way down, just like that. And then our narrow to wide split, starting in a square stance. We're just going to be bouncing slowly, widening our stance, and then back up to the top, switching sides, being very dynamic through that whole movement. Challenge yourself, get as wide as possible for those. Our intensive plyos, we are just going to be hitting some mini bounds. We know what those look like, being very floaty in the air, little bit of a knee drive, mini bound right here. Then we'll take that into a normal bound for distance. You guys are very good at these. Not gonna demo those, we know what those look like. And then our last intensive plyo is a fast leg cycle hop. We have done these before, I know we love them. Very similar to what we did on day 1 with the mini hurdles, but this time it is just max effort. I just want you going for it. So right here, drive and cycle, be quick off the ground, really try to explode out, get that leg around quick, and then explode off the ground into your next cycle. Once you get through all of that, our work for the day is going to be finished with a jump cut into a sprint. So you're starting lateral to your goal line or your start line. Lateral start, we're jumping backwards as soon as we hit the ground. I want you exploding out, going the other direction. So I'm here, jump, get out and sprint for your yardage there. That is cycle 1, day 3. Tennis soccer cycle 1, day 3. This is after our second day of field work. We have now come into the weight room. We're gonna kick things off on this day with a hang high pull or a hang clean, up to you on which one you do there. If you're not comfortable with catching the clean, then I'm fine with you just high pulling. We've done these before, we've gotten very good at them, but just as a reminder, we're keeping in contact with the bar, squeezing our shoulder blades together, hinging the hips back until right above the knee, and then explosively driving through the ground, punching our legs down into the ground. Hips extend all the way up into that movement. High pull, our elbows get nice and high, that bar stays close to our body. And then of course, if you want to catch the clean, you'll just snap your elbows through and catch in a good quarter squat position there. Paired with that, we're going to hit some shoulder mobility with a half kneeling towel rotation. One knee down on the ground, the knee that is farther from your wall is going to be up. You're going to need a towel up against the wall, driving your hand into that wall, into that towel, and then we're just rotating here. Really challenge yourself on that rotation. It's very easy to kind of just go through the motions on these. Don't do that. This is going to be very, very good for your trap tightness, shoulder mobility, and just feeling good in general. So half kneeling towel rotation there. Once you get done with that block, we're going to get into something new. We haven't done anything like this before. What you need for this setup is either something that you can pull into. So for example, here I am pulling into my spotter bars. My barbell is going to be starting underneath my bars on the ground. I'm in a split stance position, and I'm going to be deadlifting this bar up into my spotter bars. This is an overcoming isometric. What that means is you are trying to pull against that barrier as hard as you possibly can for the prescribed time. If you don't have access to a setup that will work like this, what you can do is just load that bar with more weight than you could ever possibly deadlift and hit your overcoming iso like that. So I'm here in my split stance, I'm setting up and then pulling as hard as I can into those spotter bars, putting as much force down into the ground with my legs as I possibly can. Obviously that bar's not going to move, but it should still be very, very challenging in that quad there because you're really trying to drive into the ground and pull against that rack. Paired with that, we are going to go a banded shoulder distraction, getting a band looped up high somehow. And here we're just trying to alleviate some trap tightness, lat tightness, all that good stuff. Just right here, hanging out in your band, rotate your shoulder around, do what feels good for you in this position for your set amount of time. And then also in this block, we are going to go an astrogras front foot elevated split squat. What that looks like, front foot is up on a bumper plate or on a block. We're in a big split stance position here. And then we're just taking this front knee over our toes, our heel comes up off the ground, back leg stays as straight as possible, and we're just trying to get our hips down towards that front heel. This is our front foot elevated split squat. And then our final block of this day is going to be a single arm dumbbell row. Grab a heavy dumbbell. We're setting up in a square stance, feet are together, propping yourself up on a bench, and then right here, we're keeping our chest nice and low, rowing our wrist all the way to our hip. Nice and controlled, long arm at the bottom here. We want the back to be flat the whole time, and I want the chest to stay down towards the ground. I don't want us opening up like this. With this, we are going to go a dumbbell bench press. 2 dumbbells laying down on your flat bench, and then we're just pressing up right here, all the way to the chest, all the way up. This is not a dumbbell bench, all the way down, all the way up. That is our dumbbell bench press right there. And then our last exercise of the day is going to be an eccentric single leg calf raise. So again, up on your bumper plate or up on your block. At the top, both legs are in contact with the plate. You're lifting one up as slow as you can. Lower that heel down towards the ground. Both feet back down as you drive up. You will hit all your reps on one leg and then switch legs. As slow as you can, lowering single leg, heel down towards the ground. That is Mini Soccer Summer 25, Cycle 1, Day 4. This is, again, a low volume day, just meant to get you moving, get your bodies feeling good. We're gonna start the day off with a little movement circuit. Down on your stomach, your arms are out in a Superman position. Right here, we're hitting some rolling Supermans. To initiate this movement, I want you trying to take your shoulder up and over towards the ground, really just using that shoulder to rotate around. And then we'll do the same thing, lifting at the shoulder to rotate up and around. It's very easy to sort of just roll around and flop around on the floor. I don't want us doing that. I want that movement initiated at the shoulder, really trying to open up the T-spine and feel yourself rolling through the whole movement there. Once we get through that, we're gonna hit some body weight eccentric squats, just what it sounds like. No weight, as slow as you can, down all the way to the ground. If you hit 10 seconds on that eccentric, fine, and then you're just standing all the way to the top. So again, as slow as you can on that eccentric portion of the squat, and then normal tempo standing up. Last movement in this warm-up circuit is going to be some push-ups. We should know what a push-up looks like, but just for a little demo, my core stays nice and tight. I'm not sagging my hips down towards the ground, chest all the way down, and then driving all the way back up to the top here. Once we're done with that movement circuit, we're gonna get into some plyos, starting with a single leg pogo. Again, just what it sounds like, we've done these before. Single leg, as quick as you can, pulling your toe in the air. Nice quick contacts there on that. And then a lateral pogo. This is going to be double leg. Moving to one side for your set amount of yardage. Lateral pogo, as quick as you can off the ground. Pulling the toes in the air, being very bouncy, all the work done at the ankle and the foot. Once you get done with that, we're gonna get into our lift for the day, starting with a med ball rotational throw. As I trip on my med ball, you will need a wall to throw against. With this, I'm thinking about using my legs, turning my hips and my torso into my throw. So I'm here, rotate, throwing through. Ideally, that ball should bounce back to you. Throwing off of those big, powerful rotations like you would swing a baseball bat or a golf club or something like that. Paired with that, we're hitting some mobility, a scorpion stretch. We should know this one, laying down on your stomach, hands out to the side. And then we're just taking one leg up over towards the opposite hand, rotating through each side here. Once we're done with that, we're gonna get into some barbell RDLs. Grabbing your barbell. This is a hinge exercise, building the glutes, building the hamstrings. I'm pushing my butt back until I feel a good stretch in my hamstrings, and then forcefully standing up. My back stays flat the whole time. I don't want you to start rounding here. I want that back to be flat and engaged. Core is tucked and braced through the whole movement. And then the last exercise of this cycle will be a weighted Jenny. This is just some core work. Grab a dumbbell, a plate, a medicine ball, I don't care what you use. Weighted Jennies were tucked up like a ball, and then untucking, that weight goes up over your head as you untuck and brace at the core into a good hollow hold position. That is our weighted Jenny there. And that is cycle 1, day 4.